The women's singles draw for the 2026 Australian Open has been released, and as always, the bracket immediately sparked debate, excitement, and quiet anxiety among fans and players alike. With Melbourne Park once again preparing to host the opening Grand Slam of the season, the path to the trophy is already beginning to take shape, revealing potential blockbusters, delicate early round tests, and long journeys that will demand both physical endurance and emotional resilience. Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, Madison Keys, Amanda Anisimova, and the rest of the WTA elite now know exactly what stands between them and immortality on Rod Laver Arena. This year's tournament marks the 114th staging of the Australian Open and continues a tradition that has defined the modern era of tennis since the event permanently settled on the hard courts of Melbourne Park in 1988. Over the decades, the Australian Open has earned a reputation as a proving ground, where champions are tested not only by brutal heat and relentless rallies, but also by the mental strain of launching a new season under the brightest possible spotlight. The 2026 edition feels especially intriguing, shaped by shifting power dynamics, returning champions, rising stars, and a draw that offers very little margin for error. Several notable names will not take part this year, altering the balance of the field in subtle but significant ways. Zheng Qinwen, Veronika Kudermetova, Lois Boisson, Danielle Collins, Wang Yafan, and Ons Jabeur have all withdrawn, removing dangerous floaters and proven contenders from the equation. Their absence opens doors for others, yet also sharpens the pressure on the top seeds, who know that opportunity rarely knocks twice at this level. Madison Keys arrives in Melbourne carrying the unique weight that only a defending champion truly understands. 12 months ago, she delivered the performance of her career, defeating Aryna Sabalenka in the 2025 final to capture her first Grand Slam title. That victory transformed her narrative, shifting her from perennial threat to proven major champion. Now, she returns to Australia not as the hunter, but as the hunted, fully aware that every opponent will be eager to test her resolve and expose any vulnerability. At the top of the draw sits world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, once again installed as the top seed. Melbourne has been kind to the Belarusian in the past, and she begins her campaign chasing a third Australian Open crown, a milestone that would further cement her status as one of the dominant hardcourt players of her generation. Her opening match pits her against Tyanso Asera Raketamangarajana, a player with little to lose and everything to gain. Early rounds at the Australian Open often demand patience as much as power, and Sabalenka will need to settle quickly into the rhythm of the tournament. Should she progress, the second round could bring Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova or a qualifier, neither of whom can be overlooked. Pavlyuchenkova's experience and tactical intelligence make her a tricky early opponent, especially if conditions become slow or physically demanding. By the third round, the draw tightens considerably, with a potential meeting against 28th seed Emma Raducanu looming. Raducanu's journey since her breakthrough has been turbulent, but her ability to rise on big stages remains undeniable, and a clash with Sabalenka would test both players' nerve and consistency. Beyond that, the projected fourth round offers little relief. Sabalenka could face 14th seed Clara Tauson, whose aggressive baseline game can overwhelm even elite defenders, or 17th seed Victoria Mboko, a rising force whose athleticism and fearless shot-making signal a dangerous future. Each scenario demands a different tactical response, underscoring how quickly the margins shrink as the tournament progresses. If Sabalenka navigates that stretch, the quarterfinals may bring 7th seed Jasmine Paolini, a player whose relentless energy and court coverage have made her one of the most awkward opponents on tour. Paolini thrives on extending rallies and disrupting rhythm, precisely the kind of challenge that can frustrate power hitters if they lose patience. For Sabalenka, this phase of the draw represents the point where past champions are separated from mere contenders. Waiting potentially in the semifinals is third seed Coco Gauff, setting the stage for one of the most anticipated rivalries in women's tennis. Gauff opens her tournament against Kamila Rakimova, a match she will be expected to control, though the first rounds of a slam often come with hidden nerves. In the second round, Gauff could encounter Olga Danilovic or Venus Williams, the latter offering a nostalgic and emotionally charged storyline should she advance. Facing Venus on Rod Laver Arena would be as much about managing atmosphere as tactics. The third round could bring 32nd seed Marketa Vondrousova, whose variety and left-handed angles can dismantle opponents who rely too heavily on rhythm. Vondrousova's ability to absorb pace and redirect it unpredictably makes her a classic danger in early slam rounds. In the fourth round, Gauff may be tested by 15th seed Emma Navarro or 19th seed Karolina Machova, both players capable of exposing weaknesses through intelligent point construction and net play. Quarterfinal possibilities for Gauff include 8th seed Mira Andreeva, whose rise has been one of the most compelling stories on the tour, or 12th seed Alina Svitolina, a proven competitor with deep Grand Slam experience. Each represents a different kind of examination. Andreeva with fearless youth and explosive timing, Svitolina with grit, defense, and tactical clarity. Should Gauff survive this gauntlet, a semifinal against Sabalenka would feel like a collision between power, speed, and ambition, a match likely to define the tournament. The bottom half of the draw is no less dramatic, anchored by second seed Iga Swiatek. Despite her dominance across surfaces and her growing collection of major titles, the Australian Open remains the one Grand Slam that has eluded her. That lingering absence adds a layer of urgency to her 2026 campaign, as she arrives determined to complete another chapter in her already remarkable career. Swiatek begins against a qualifier, a matchup that on paper favors the pole but still requires focus. Early rounds in Melbourne can be deceptive, particularly when unfamiliar opponents swing freely without expectation. In the second round, she may face Renata Zarazua or Marie Buzkova, both capable of grinding rallies and testing patience. By the third round, 31st seed Anna Kalinskaya could stand across the net, offering a stern challenge with her improved consistency and court coverage. The fourth round presents one of the most emotionally charged possibilities of the entire draw. Swiatek is projected to meet either 16th seed Naomi Osaka, a two-time former Australian Open champion, or 18th seed Ludmila Samsonova. A clash with Osaka would carry immense historical and symbolic weight, bringing together two champions whose careers have intersected at pivotal moments. Osaka's power and big match pedigree contrast sharply with Swiatek's relentless intensity and precision, making it a matchup that could swing on confidence and timing. Should Swiatek advance, the quarterfinals promise no respite. 5th seed Elena Rybakina or 10th seed Belinda Bencic could await, both players with the weapons to trouble anyone on a fast hard court. Rybakina's serve and flat ground strokes have undone Swiatek before, while Bencic's early ball striking and tactical discipline pose a different kind of threat. This stage may well determine whether Swiatek's Australian Open dream remains alive. The semifinal landscape in the bottom half is crowded with ambition. 4th seed Amanda Anisimova continues her pursuit of a long-awaited Grand Slam breakthrough, bringing explosive shot-making and renewed confidence into Melbourne. 6th seed Jessica Pegula offers consistency, intelligence, and a calm presence that has carried her deep into majors before. Looming over all of them is 9th seed Madison Keys, the reigning champion, whose presence ensures that no path to the final will be straightforward. Keys opens her title defense against Alexandra Olenikova, a match that should allow her to settle into the tournament while managing the inevitable nerves that accompany a return as champion. As the rounds progress, the pressure will intensify, particularly with a projected fourth-round meeting against Pegula. That potential encounter would pit two Americans against each other, blending familiarity with fierce competitiveness and testing who can best manage expectations. If the draw unfolds as projected, the quarterfinals paint a vivid picture of what awaits. Sabalenka against Paolini would contrast raw power with tireless defense. Gauff versus Andreeva would symbolize a generational conversation, youth meeting youth but with vastly different journeys. Pegula against Anisimova would offer a battle of styles and temperaments, while Rybakina versus Swiatek could once again decide the fate of the bottom half. Taken as a whole, the 2026 Australian Open women's draw reflects a tour in transition, yet rich with depth. Established champions are still fighting to extend their reigns. Emerging stars are pushing ever closer to the summit, and returning figures are eager to reclaim their place in the spotlight. Every section of the bracket contains stories waiting to unfold, from redemption arcs to breakthrough moments, from rivalries renewed to dreams realized or deferred. As the first balls are struck under the Melbourne sun, the draw will transform from lines on paper into lived experience, shaped by confidence, courage, and the unforgiving nature of Grand Slam tennis. For some, the path will open unexpectedly. For others, it will narrow far too quickly. But for all involved, the journey through this draw promises drama, intensity, and the unmistakable feeling that history is once again ready to be written on the blue courts of Australia.